All right, I'd like to call to order our Town of Batesburg-Leesville, our regular council meeting. It is March the 9th, 2020, and we've all experienced a time change once again. Thank you for being here. I feel rushed because of the time change. At this time, I would like Kent Suits, if you would, please come and lead us in our invocations.
I'll be reading a short passage from 1 John chapter 3, verses 16 to 18. By this we know love, that he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for the brothers. But if anyone has the world's goods and sees his brother in need, yet closes his heart against him, how does God's love abide in him? Little children, let us not love in word or talk, but in deed and in truth. Let's pray. Father, as our council members meet this evening and discuss things relating to the town, I pray that you would give them love for this town, a desire to share those things that you have provided to them, share those for the needs and the benefit of this community, and that the people of this town would benefit from their leadership and their wisdom and their decision making and their conversation. I pray that you would give them peace amongst one another, love for one another, and that peace would overflow into their leadership as they guide this town in the things that you would have them go. Pray all this according to your will and in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Now, this time, if you'd stand for the pledge led by Mr. Gambrell.
Salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Mr. Croft, do I have a second?
So moved.
Mr. Gambrell, any discussion? District 2?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 6?
Yes.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The agenda for the evening has been approved. Item number 5, adoption of the minutes. We have 2 for this evening. A, which is the regular council meeting, which was February the 10th, 2020. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Mr. Krause, have a second?
Second.
Ms. Lemon? And any discussion? District 2?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 6?
Yes.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The minutes for the regular council meeting February 10th have been adopted. Motion to adopt the council work session February 24th, 2020. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Mr. Gambrell, and with a second?
Second.
Mr. Prowse, in discussion. District 2?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 6?
Yes.
7?
Yes.
8?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The minutes for the council work session February 24th have been adopted. All right, we're looking at the mayor's report, item 6. Our next regular council meeting will be on April the 13th, 2020. And our council committee reports, number 1, Central Midlands COG Councilman Bob Hall.
COG did meet on February the 27th. The majority of the issues being addressed were transfer of funds from various accounts to Comet, disadvantaged, and setting disadvantaged business enterprise goals. The goal was set at 5% of all allocations, and basically they transferred $5,154,000 to Comet for planning, and another $249,900 for access and mobility partnership grants. Those were all approved under the initial portion of the meeting. Second part of the meeting was consumed with, again, primarily transfer of funds to Comet, a human traffic awareness grant for $179,000, and an additional monies for, transfer of $149,000 from Greenview connector to the City of Columbia for their Main Street mask arms project for traffic control. The item is something unusual. The item to transfer funds for the South Main Street project, which was $3,600,000. This item was placed on hold, postponement, until they can get more information, and will be addressed at the next meeting. So the last part of the meeting was taken up by a presentation from Fairfield County on their new proposed sewer plant, which may be of interest to us. It's a total 4 million gallon plant. Ultimately starts off at 1 million gallon. Footprint will be for 2 million initially, but only 1 million operational. The cost of that plant is going to be $30 million, and they are going to be looking for money, which means they're going to be in competition if we need funds from COG for that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Hall, appreciate that. EPAC, Councilmember Prowse.
EPAC has not yet met this month. No report.
Thank you. And Joint Municipal Water and Sewer Commission, the commission continues to grow at about 3% a month. Continue to be extremely healthy fiscally. They give a red flags rule update, which is kind of something that is done every year. Which just talking, that's kind of checking a box. In the general manager's report, nothing to report, as the algae stuff has pretty much ran its course. And we did go into an executive session, and coming out of executive session, we were basically did the general manager, Jay Nicholson's evaluation, and he had a glowing evaluation. Really does a fantastic job for them over there. Staff really loves him. And their announcements, South Carolina Environmental Conference is coming up on March the 14th through the 18th. I'm sure you can Google that and find out more. And the next meeting is scheduled for this Wednesday. And that's all I have at this time. Chamber of Commerce update, Mr. Mike Taylor.
Mayor and Council, I think I mentioned last month that our first community event will be not this Saturday, but next Saturday, March 21st at NS Farm. It will be a dance. The proceeds will be shared with the Batesburg-Leesville Relay for Life and the Chamber of Commerce. Arts on the Ridge will conduct just a performing arts camp this summer. This is due to several members taking on other projects of their own, and the visual arts teacher, instructor, possibly welcoming another member of the family at that same time. So that we're just going to go with that one camp. Dream Catchers will be a major participant again this year in the Easter egg hunt, community Easter egg hunt, and they're also preparing for Peachtree 23 yard sale, which I'm already getting calls from at the chamber for people coming, so that ought to be another increase this year on that. The chamber continues to receive updates on legislation every other week, with last Friday being our last update. Things covered that I think involve the community would be House Bill 4431, which I'm sure town manager and the mayor are familiar with, business license tax reform, which passed the House unanimously and is now awaiting Senate Finance Subcommittee hearing. Senate Bill 419 is a comprehensive education reform, which passed the Senate 40-4. And House Bill 4262, which is a South Carolina Small Wireless Facilities Deployment Act, which allows for infrastructure development and deployment of 5G throughout the state. This passed our Judiciary Committee. As past chair of the Batesburg-Leesville Chamber of Commerce, I have an opportunity to be a member of One Voice, and I'm bringing that up for a point. This organization is represented by past chairs of the 5 Lexington County Chambers of Commerce. We asked Joe Murgo for a presentation last month of the capital project sales tax. This is a proposed 1% tax in Lexington County for roads only. The project selected by the commission will be presented to county council by June for them to approve. They will approve only if the projects meet the requirements of roads only. Council cannot change nor add anything to their recommendation. They can only vote yes or no on what is presented. Organizations and municipalities will have the opportunity to present requested projects for their consideration. We are fortunate to have 2 members of the 6 members that are from the West region. So we hope to benefit somewhat, or at least have our voice heard from that end. Also, I would like to thank the town, Ted and Jay, for, I want to apologize to council in the work session. I'd like to blame it on the time change, but it didn't happen when y'all had your work session. But I'm geared to the 7 o'clock thing, and I came here at 5 till, and I saw the presentation going on, and I was ashamed to come in and bother everybody. So Ted and Jay were kind enough to be at our general membership meeting and give a brief presentation for that, and I'm most appreciative and appreciate y'all's hard work. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Mr. Mike, one question.
Yes, sir.
On the penny tax, did they say, as Lexington County said, how many projects they'll be accepting or limiting?
I think they are anticipating, projected is something like $330 million over the 8-year period, 7 years of that. And I'm sure they'll look at the projects, you know, in order and the associated expense for each product, each project, and determine it that way. From my understanding and talking to Mr. Murgo, it also, the last time that this was done, the engineering firm was paid like $500,000 to do everything. This year, they're only receiving $150,000. And it's up to those sending the projects in to determine the amount and so forth, which I had some concern over pertaining to Batesburg-Leesville and other small communities having to do that. And it's my understanding that they're taking in consideration everything that was proposed before that has not, that's either on the drawing board or you know, hadn't been done, and will look at that kind of separately from any new projects. Not that they won't, a new project won't take precedent, but they have that information.
So the project wouldn't have to be fully engineered, the project could be estimated out?
No, what I understand, they are predicting somewhere around a 25% increase, and I'm sure that's how they're looking at it. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Next item up is our public comment regarding items. No one, Ms. Judy, thank you so much. We have no unfinished business tonight, so we're going to move on to new business. Item A, which is council approval of excused absence for Councilman McCain, who is attending National League of Cities Conference. And just for the public, with council pay, we also put in place an attendance requirement by council at the regular meeting. And so it's up to the council member who is absent to then request to be on the agenda, on the next agenda, and have that approved by council as basically an excused absence. And we certainly are grateful for Mr. Kane serving at the National League of Cities in Washington, D.C. While he's away from this meeting here. Do I have a motion to approve the excused absence for Mr. Kane?
So moved.
Ms. Lemon, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Prowse. Any discussion? District 2?
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 6,
Yes.
District 7,
Yes.
District 8,
Yes.
and I vote yes. The excused absence has been approved. Thank you. Next item is, this is the first reading ordinance to amend the Title V, Chapter 2 of the town's General Code of Ordinances relating to building regulations and code enforcement. This was in our packet, but Mr. Luckadoo, if you would, please summarize for the public.
Sure thing. The South Carolina Building Codes Council, I believe it's on an annual basis, and just to point out, Ms. Kim Craig from Safe Build is here tonight. We did request that they attend in case there were any questions in more detail. She could be here to answer those questions. But the South Carolina Code, as the international building codes are updated, the South Carolina Code Council will review those codes and they will make modifications related to South Carolina and what they want to see done. The South Carolina Codes Council approved the 2018 International Building Codes along with all the other codes that come with that: residential, fire, electrical, mechanical code, energy, and they made the South Carolina modifications. They adopted those, and we are required to adopt those as well. And so what you have before you is an ordinance adopting everything that the South Carolina Code Council adopted.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I need a clean motion on that, if I could.
I move we adopt the
This is first reading, yes.
yes.
Thank you.
If you do have the white paper there,
I got the white paper.
look at the very bottom of it, sir.
Very bottom.
Oh, yes. Second page, very. Last. Oh, you have the agenda, not the white paper.
Right.
Thanks.
Here.
Sorry, Mr. Owen, I want to make sure we get this.
Oh, I don't like it. I just wondered what you stopped me.
Yeah, that's okay. It was somewhat legal and specific, so we'll make sure we get this right.
I move the first reading of ordinance as presented.
As presented, thank you. We'll work with that. I have a motion as presented, first reading of the ordinance. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Prowse. Any discussion? All right. District 2?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 6?
Yes.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The first reading has been adopted. It's passed. There we go. Item C, approval to purchase a used vehicle with Palmetto Pride grant funds from state surplus to be utilized for litter control. Mr. Luckadoo, if you would lead the public through your recommendation, please.
Okay, at the February regular council meeting, I had let council and the public know that we were awarded a $5,000 grant through Palmetto Pride for the acquisition of a vehicle that could be used for litter control. We put the litter control position into place this past budget, but we have been picking and pulling and scrounging for litter control to have a vehicle to use. And therefore, we applied for this. We got the $5,000. Through state surplus, we have found a 2008 Ford Ranger with 112,000 miles for $5,000. And it has been inspected and reviewed by our fleet supervisor, Mr. Jeremy Driggers, and he has given it a stamp that this vehicle would be good for this use and last us a while.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a motion?
I move we purchase this vehicle for litter control, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Gambro. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Wise, second. Any discussion?
I believe we should amend that because you're also asking for additional money in the budget. $800.
That is correct.
So if we just approve the purchase, we're not approving the increase in the budget?
So,
Some clarification.
right, so in addition to the $5,000 purchase, and I did leave this out, we do want to equip the vehicle with safety warning lights because it will be parked roadside. Something to let people know that this vehicle is stopped. And to logo this vehicle with town logos, approximately 200, 500 for the warning lights. So that's approximately 700. And then we will have a prorated insurance cost for the remainder of this fiscal year. We anticipate that being about $100 for the remainder of the year. So we were looking at about $800 in addition to the $5,000 grant to be able to do that.
Are you gonna have to hire people to be on this control?
We currently have litter control, part-time litter control position.
So I have an amendment by Mr. Hall. Do we accept the amendment?
I did not offer an amendment.
I offered an amendment that's so read by our town manager.
Okay, the amendment's been offered by Mr. Gambrell. Got a second?
Second.
The amendment, okay. Any other discussion? District 2,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 6,
Yes.
District 7,
Yes.
District 8,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Has passed. Motion has passed, thank you. Moving to discussion concerning the possibility of providing utility bill discounts for utility customers that complete the census. I'm going to ask Mr. Luckadoo or to read this, please.
Sure. As we all know, in the next few weeks, well, next couple of weeks, Census will be sending out the first round of Census 2020 letters on how to go online and complete the census. One of the things that the town has done the past in 2000 and in 2010, among other cities, something they do to try and encourage people to complete the census and get it turned in is that if someone shows verification that they have done so, that they receive anywhere from a $5 to a $10 discount on their utility bill as a way to try and encourage them to get it done. We have put in the white paper that you received a little breakdown on what $5 could mean financially from a revenue standpoint and what $10 would mean from that standpoint. One of the things that we did note, what's imperative is that the people, we have two systems on our water system. System 1 being our in-town and just outside of town limit water customers. We also have a System 2, which is Lake Murray. System 1 is really the most important thing with regards to the town of Batesburg-Leesville from a response standpoint. Us trying to encourage the people around here to get it done. You know, kind of left this open to council for discussion and consideration, whether it's $5, $10, or anything in between, or some other number that you may want to go with. And our recommendation would be for the people on System 1 to receive this discount as they are directly related to the town of Batesburg-Leesville from the census standpoint.
How will we receive the information that they did file?
Okay, so, and Jay's been keeping track of a lot of census, and he's taking the lead on census with regards to this project, but make sure I'm stating this right. If I don't, feel free to correct me. When someone completes their census online, there should be a confirmation page that they can print as confirmation that they've completed it. Second thing could be someone could take a picture or screenshot of the computer screen that shows that they have completed it and bring that into town hall when they come to pay their utility bill, or attach it or include it in the envelope if they're mailing it in. Just something that shows this person has completed the census.
And how long do they have to get that information back to the proper authorities?
So we have stated, from a census standpoint, they really want people, before they start knocking on doors in May, they really are trying to encourage people to get this done before May as much as possible. So what we said as an encouragement and enticement for people to try and get it done by May 1st, we said anyone that shows it by May 1st would receive a credit on their account.
You have cost here, but what is the benefit?
What is the benefit?
Direct benefit, is there a cost benefit analysis? Actually, if you add 2 people to through this, you just get 2 people to, and be involved and turn it in, who would not have? Those 2 people would cost us at minimum $6,000 each. Are we gonna get $6,000 in benefits back?
We're not adding staff for this, are we?
No, I don't.
No, we're not adding staff, but we're actually dispensing funds. We're gonna be dispensing funds.
I don't think I'm understanding
We're
what
not
you just said.
technically dispensing funds, from my understanding.
All right.
I mean, help me understand this.
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
think,
so you are not actually giving people money, but you are actually reducing the revenue to the town. You're reducing the revenue to the town
Correct.
by $12,000.
Potentially,
So
potentially.
So if we don't do this, all right, I mean, if we don't do this, so we have $12,000 more to spend on our water and sewer system, which sorely needs it. But is there a offsetting benefit? In other words, what federal funds do we get based on increasing our population by 50? What state funds do we get?
And that's a great question, and maybe, Mr. J, you've been working on as head of the committee, and if you would step up and explain, I know we've kind of been through this a couple of times, but if you would explain the benefits of everyone filling out their census?
Yes, I don't believe it's possible to just say that if Bob Hall completes his census, there's a tangible number that's going to come back to Batesburg-Leesville. The importance is that a complete count will give our good snapshot, which is used towards grant request. We use the census tract information, so that will show not just the number of people, but it will have an economic breakdown, because every 6th person will do the American Community Survey. So it gives a lot of data to the federal government that we're able to utilize for grant requests. Also, it is proportional, the amount of federal funds that comes back to the state that can be distributed, be it healthcare, transportation, education, so forth and so on. So I don't know that you can sit here and tangibly say 2 more people will bring $10 or $20 or $50 of revenue to the town, but it does allow us to seek more funds in the future, and it does benefit, it does tangibly benefit the state. I don't know what that number is, out of $675 billion of federal funding that is transferred from the federal government to the state. Yeah, 330 million people in America, that's $2,000 per person that is distributed across the country. So I don't know if you could tangibly, I don't know if you can say that $2,000 would benefit Batesburg-Leesville, but it would come back towards the state through a good, accurate count. Does that help? So the answer is, we're giving a discount as an incentive to get people to complete, but that's going to then fall back on administration to seek those grant funds and to seek that federal funding from the state level to improve Batesburg-Leesville.
And just to piggyback off of what he said, right now, federal funds that we have that we're dealing with are CDBG. Those are federal funds passed to the state, then passed to the county, and passed on to us. So ultimately, CDBG is federal funds. Our DOT TAP grant is federal funds, as well as the Rural Infrastructure Authority comes from federal funds. Those are all originated at the federal level, and we've got active in each one of those categories.
And safer grants on the fire department are also federal.
Right, and another point, if I could state this, anytime, if council were to want to consider redistricting in the future, it's important to have as much accurate count as possible to be able to have accurate statistics for the sake of redistricting. I know it's been 27 years since the town has redistricted. The recommendation's out there that every 20 years you try to redistrict at least at a minimum. And we're at 27, so if redistricting may be in our future, it would be good to have an accurate count for the next 10 years.
I just had one quick question. Do we have records when the town's done this in the past, in 2010 and 2000, as a percentage of water customers? Do we have any information that tells us how many people participated and took advantage of that discount?
I don't,
Okay.
not seeing.
So the numbers that we have are assuming that we would have a full participation from everybody in the town would be looking for a discount. That's basically that's worse.
And I know in 2010, Mr. Gambrell was town manager. He might be able to speak to how much this discount was used in 2000.
It was used considerably well. The main thing is getting people, put their name on the list to vote, because with each person that's counted, we get dollars. And that's also how the, say, South Carolina picked up their 7th congressman. So the more votes we have, the better off we're gonna be. If we can encourage the population to participate, it's worth it.
Anything else for Mr. Hendricks? Okay. Do I have any motions on this?
I do have one additional question.
Certainly.
Does this process, what we're doing, if we make a motion, is this a resolution that requires one act tonight, or is it a 2-vote process? I'm just curious.
It's getting our legal counsel.
I believe y'all can do it by a single vote, because we're not talking about, in the grand scheme of the entire water budget, the grant, and we don't know how much it's gonna be. It could be $10, it could be $6,000. You don't know what, and I don't think that's a drop in the bucket, that's using the word term, in the total water budget. If everybody comes in and gets the $5 to $10 reduction.
Yeah. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts? Do I have any motions from anyone on this?
I move that we offer the citizens of Batesburg-Leesville an opportunity to utilize this program, $10 if they come in by March, by when? May 1st. And provide us with some type of documentation that they have responded, that we in turn will by June or July adjust their water bill.
I would throw out that we would do it when they came in for verification. We would adjust the current bill.
So I have a motion for $10 one-time discount. The rest of what Mr. Gambrell said, is there a second on that?
I second.
Second by Mr. Frost. Any other discussion, questions?
Was there a particular reason we went with the $10 figure?
I just pulled it out of the hat, sir.
Is this for everybody that's, in the town of Batesburg-Leesville, or is this, but, I mean.
Just inside the municipality.
In the town limits itself, is that what?
Inside the town limits is what the document says.
That's a motion that was made also.
Okay, the motion did say inside town limits. Yes, just inside town limits. Any other discussion?
Just as clarification,
Yep.
the white paper referenced residential customers only, not commercial customers.
Correct. And the reason being is, the census is not gonna be doing it on businesses, just residential.
Okay.
Do I need to change that to road preference?
No, sir. Any other discussion? So this is $10 on residential inside the town, one-time discount. District 2,
Yes.
District 4, District 6,
Yes.
District 7,
Yes.
District 8,
No.
and the mayor votes yes. It has passed, the motion's passed. Moving on to item 10. Let's see, the manager's report. Mr. Luckadoo, if you would, approach the microphone, please.
All right, good evening. Had mine on the computer. All right, Great American Cleanup Event, just as a reminder to everyone, we had mentioned this before, we are looking at doing a Great American Cleanup Event Saturday, April 18th, beginning at 9 a.m., and we're looking at going till about 12 p.m. that day. Certainly, being a cleanup event, we've identified litter pickup as the primary objective for that day, but we have also identified 2 projects that people have expressed interest in taking part in. And the Great American Cleanup Day is not just litter pickup, it's doing community beautification projects, things like that. 2 things that were identified were cleanup around the American Legion hut and the island behind the library that currently has bushes and trees and things like that. It's gotten really large. That was thrown out as well. The high school JROTC has committed to working around the Legion hut to do some cleanup in that area. As well, the F3 group has expressed interest in trimming and doing cleanup and landscaping on the island behind the library. We've also spoken to churches and the Ministerial Alliance about taking part that day, as well as both Rotary clubs have had this mentioned to them. So we're slowly getting out to all civic groups, churches, and everybody, asking them to take part this day and to ask them for a commitment on how many people can attend and take part, so that we can try and have a complete and accurate count of the number of people, so we can divide the litter pickup and the projects up that day and know how far we can go. Our plan is to have all the major highways in town picked up on this day and have enough people to do this. I would like to also personally ask council members if they would this day to come out and take part and help lead the way in some of these efforts. So, next thing I have is the town egg hunt, Wednesday, April 8th from 5:30 to 7 in College Park. At this point, we do have partners with the town, and that being the Chamber, Lexington County Recreation and Aging Commission, the Dream Catchers, and the Ministerial Alliance, as well as the Rotary Club, who has offered to come out that day for the books. We will have 4 age groups for the egg hunt. 0 to 1 will have their own hunt. Ages 2 and 3 will have another one. 4 through 6, and then groups ages 7 and 8 will have a different egg hunt. And that we did that for the first time this past year to keep the 7 and 8-year-olds from taking all the eggs from the 0 to 1-year-olds. And just so y'all know, a typical egg hunt lasts for no more than about 45 seconds, except for the 0 to 1-year-olds. It lasts a little bit longer. So we're slowly trying to increase the number of eggs we have so that we can make it last a little bit longer. And we always have to note the Easter Bunny will be present at the egg hunt. As what I would call a final reminder, if council has not completed their statement of economic interest, you're 21 days from the deadline and a $100 fine if it's not completed. So this includes myself as well as Ms. Judy. So we got to make sure we have it done as well. Moving on. Brody Pump Station, last meeting, you guys approved the contractor and the funding for this. We held a pre-construction conference this week with JL Construction, who is who you guys selected as the contractor. The notice to proceed on this project has been signed and is in place. Construction is slated to begin at the end of March, with work being completed by the end of July. The contract has a 120-day completion. Obviously, we want to get this project done as quickly as possible, as this is a secondary source of water to supplement our town pond reservoir. So the pumps have already been constructed, they are done. We are already coordinating dates for installing those pumps, as we have to we have 2 pumps at that site. So we were not going to allow them to take both pumps off and be working on both. It'll be 1 pump at a time, so we can assure we have the capability to keep pumping that water. And if I would, I'm gonna come back up in just a minute. I would like to ask our utility director, Mr. Shumpert, to come up and provide you guys with an update on the wastewater treatment plant in order that I previously let you guys know about, and to talk a little bit about the projects we have going on with the wastewater treatment plant.
Good evening. In January, we received a consent order for DOD violation at the wastewater treatment plant, both our DOD limit and our precipitated removal. Those, we had 2 occurrences last year, in August and September, and again failed in January of this year. So the consent order, they required 30-day submittal on the corrective action plan, which was prepared and submitted to them. I think you guys have a copy, I believe. That corrective action plan included, once we realized we were having some issues back in 19, we started to, in our wastewater collection system, we started to look to see where the BOD might be coming from. We noticed some high concentrations on the influent as well as the effluent issues that we were having. So we went out in some of our larger pump stations, we started testing those pump stations. The BOD test takes a total of 5 days. So you collect the sample on this day, 5 days later you read the results. So what we went and did was use the chemical oxygen demand test, which takes about 4 hours to give us an idea, because usually chemical oxygen demand runs about 2 to 5 times higher than BOD. So we used the COD to give us an idea of where this issue was coming from, so it wouldn't be a 5-day delay on it. But we submitted that plan, and we had a Batesburg district and Leesville district. We had identified manholes that we sampled, we did some composite sampling in some manholes around town. We did some of our large pump stations, and we found several instances where we had high COD, which would relate to high BOD. And some of those issues we were able to remedy. Some of them we think it's just coming system-wide, based simply because it's a fat, oil, and grease issue, I think. In our corrective action plan, we actually requested or required ourselves to update our FOG program to give us an opportunity to make it a little bit more enforceable. Give us an idea that we can maybe every year possibly, once we have a new FOG program in place, probably look at the opportunity to maybe during business license renewals to kind of canvass our restaurants and stuff like that should have these grease trap installed, and give us an idea to go back and inspect those things a couple or 3 times a year. Make sure they're being maintained.
Is that something that DHEC regulates? And are they, what is their responsibility in this?
Well, they actually put that back on us. They require us to have a FOG ordinance, which we have one, but it's been the same FOG ordinance for I don't know how long. So we just need to update it. We need a comprehensive list of who has them, who doesn't, who may need them. Plus, we need an opportunity to know who has them, so we can have an access to go make sure that they're maintained on a regular basis. With that FOG program, we're also going to kind of institute some general awareness for our residential customers and stuff to know how to handle the grease products that they produce at home and things like that. So that'll be part of that FOG program too. And with our corrective action program, I think we're looking at that ordinance revision probably for the rest of this year, maybe having it adopted by the next fiscal year, to have it presented to you so y'all can review it and go ahead and vote on it by next fiscal year. So we'll have it in place. We also included in there a some GIS work, because we do not have a comprehensive map of our sewer system. We have some old plans that we've agglomerated over the years. We have one site plan, but there's no scale to it, there's no identifier from the manhole, so we need to update, and so we can actually pinpoint and find our problems. And also in our system, there's some inflow and infiltration issues that we need to address. The GIS system will allow us to physically inspect our system are we locating these manholes and identify potential problems that we can actually see. We'll probably have to go back as well and do some smoke testing as well as some TVing of our sewer lines to identify what these problems are.
We had some smoke testing done a couple years back.
Yes, we did, and like I say, the person that we have is, other fires cropped up and just took a finger off of it.
We have documentation
We
of that.
do, we have some places, some we fixed, some we didn't.
Okay.
We do have some GIS work done, the fire department's done some of the fire hydrants, all the fire hydrants I think are located on, we actually borrowed 2 layers, I think from Lexington County's GIS system, which we have fire hydrants on, and we have had some of our sewer system digitized and placed on there, but it's just not, it doesn't have the geodetic data attached to it, it was just digitized and placed on there based on the intersections of streets and stuff. So we just need something a little bit more accurate, something with a database and some field work that we can actually fill in on an annual basis to make sure when these manholes are either inspected and reviewed and repaired. It's something we need to do. Subsequently to that, there was an inspection this week of our collection system, and we're supposed to have a closeout meeting at DHEC on that Friday morning. So I'm assuming, there's information and inflow issues that we're having, we'll probably have some more information from all of you folks next month.
A lot of rain out there, so.
There was also a civil penalty associated with it, so, that has been paid.
Mr. Shumpert, how big of an uptick did you see in flow through the sewer plant during the recent rain?
Probably double.
And we're processing how much per day on an average?
We probably average 800,000, 850,000 a day all year long, but on these 1 inch of rainfalls or better, we probably can see almost 2.5 days. We do have equalization on site to handle some of it, so but we can't handle it all.
We have 1 million gallons per day infiltration during a heavy rain.
Yes, sir. Doubles our
40,000 gallons per hour. In a 24-hour
694 gallons a minute.
Are you also indicating that we don't know where we have, what size lines we have in a lot of areas?
No, we have some maps and we have a pretty good idea. We have about 56 miles, 58 miles of sewer line. And I have a map where that's broken down, probably 8 inch and up. Our largest line, I think, is a 21 inch trunk line. It comes out of the Batesburg district. I think we have an 18 inch trunk line that comes out of the Leesville district.
So you're confident that if we have a developer who says, I want to build 200 houses on the Centerfit property, that we could say yes or no?
We're getting a little off the range of our agenda topic, but
No, we definitely.
we can make this real quick.
We definitely need to do something about our infiltration. I mean, it just taxes our entire system. Tar on the wastewater plant, equipment down there, tar on personnel, so it's hard to keep up with. But we've noticed all the pump station run times are increased. So, and we found some with smoke testing, we need to get back out there. It needs to probably be something we can sub out, a little bit more turnkey type operation. So we apply the test to it, spend 6 months on it, and get it done, find a problem there so we can get it there, find out what's just going to be fixed.
And regarding the consent order, you feel that the documentation sent to them and everything is?
Depending on what happens with the wastewater collection system review.
What is the timeline again?
I sent the corrective action program in a draft format. They reviewed it and said it was acceptable at this point. They were going to look it over and discuss it with their folks before they get back with us and we can make it permanent or final.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Next up is the Census 2020 update. Jay Hendricks.
No, I don't know why I really got up, but I'm gonna
I don't know why you got up either.
System Manager Jay to come up.
Okay, we've already hit census a little bit tonight, but just to give you a little follow-up, census information will be going out in the next week or two. You should be receiving letters from the federal government. Don't throw it away. The letter is going to the address. It won't have your name on it, so it will have each residential address in town should be receiving a letter. That letter will have instructions on how to go online. It will have your specific code, and so you can go in and have your private session with the census. As I mentioned before, most people will just fill out a simple, probably 5-minute questionnaire, just April 1st, who's in this house, a little bit of information about date of birth, gender, ethnicity, but 1 in 6 people do receive what is called the American Community Survey, which is much more in-depth, where it deals with financials and jobs and education and all of the other census data we always think about. And that data is a lot of what we utilize in grant writing to justify needs and to identify areas of focus. So obviously we want to encourage people to do that. Our Complete Count Committee did meet. We've created some flyers. We've gone to the Ministerial Alliance. We've met with Rotary, just kind of spreading that word to some of the civic groups and trying to get the message out to the churches. One of our committee members, Jessica Reyes, is with St. John's the Cross, has translated it to Spanish, so we definitely want to try to reach the Hispanic community because there are obviously some concerns from that group, that population, about the census. We've heard about that in the media. So we want to encourage them to complete it. It is safe. It is, to I guess go use an old Al Gore term, it's in a lockbox for 72 years. So that government agency is not supposed to share it with anybody else. So we want to stress the importance of completing the census and the safety and security of the census. Does anybody have any other questions about the census? Again, we're doing social media, just kind of spreading that word, so you'll see more from us in the next few weeks. So.
Thanks for your work on it.
Thank you.
Moving on to the financial update.
Okay, last thing we got, go through the account balances to begin with. End of the month, February. General fund checking ended the month at $1,257,000 and some change. The general fund savings obviously remaining the same as the previous months. Police donations the same. Fire department 1% remained the same at $15,448. Municipal court did not, when I completed this, I did not have the end of the month reconciled amount. I can get that once I have that, and I'll be happy to email it to you. Victims assistance at $395 to end the month. So the total for all non-utility funds, $1,353,619.98 to end the month. For the utility fund, the checking account ended at $119,802. Utility reserve $766,723. The capital improvement project impact fee account $1,441,469. And the debt service reserve $563,994 with a $3 and a $2 in those USDA and the senior assistance fund. Total for all utility funds $2,891,995.21 to end the month of February. Hospitality tax checking account ended the month at $551,537.15. Bringing the total of all funds in the bank for the town at $4,797,152.34. One of the things that I wanted to do this month was to break down each fund, the actual versus budgeted with percentages for each of the funds. You will see that the general fund operating revenues of the budgeted amount for revenues and expenses in the general fund were $4,206,626. And to date, our revenues are at 68% at $2,853,727 we brought in. And our operating expenses is at 71% at $2,969,497. We will continue to close that gap. That gap closed a lot over the month of January and February with the taxes beginning to come in, property taxes. For the utility fund, operating revenues, we are at 67%, $2,170,550 of the $3.219 million that we budgeted. Operating expenses are at 79%, at $2,537,313 there. That took an uptick this month as we had a $183,000 payment towards our industrial park bond payment this month. So typically in February, that will make a bigger jump. Victims Assistance Fund, operating revenues are at 48%, $4,919.91 of the $10,150 we budgeted. We certainly, at the beginning of this year, got off to a good start with victims assistance. It has kind of declined down over the past 2 to 3 months on the amount of money we're bringing in through that. But the expenses are at 67%, $6,824.82. And for the Hospitality Tax Fund, we are at 79% of what we budgeted for revenues for H-Tax, $376,453 out of the $475,000 that we budgeted. And from the expense standpoint, the only expense that we've had to date in this budget year is the $48,500 for Christmas lights, which accounts for 10% of what was budgeted. So, wanted to this month provide you guys with that snapshot of where the budget stands.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Looking at item 11, executive session for this evening. It could be rather lengthy. We have 4 items this evening. Item A is discussion of personnel matters relating to the town manager's evaluation. Item B is receipt of legal advice and discussion related to possible property acquisition through the quitclaim deed and easement for water and sewer infrastructure. Item C is receipt of legal advice relating to legal matters covered by attorney-client privilege. And item D is receipt of legal advice and discussion regarding potential contractual arrangement relating to water alternative options. Do I have a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Prowse and Mr. Gambrell, any discussion? District 2,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 6,
Yes.
District 7,
Yes.
District 8,
Yes.
and I vote yes. We are in executive session. Thank you, everyone. Any discussion? District, she's on my right here, she just goes, District 2,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 6,
Yes.
District 7,
Yes.
District 8,
Yes.
and Mayor votes yes. We are back into regular session. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. At this time, possible action by follow-up council and follow-up to the executive session. There are no actions for item A. No actions. Do we have any motions for possible action related to possible property acquisition through quitclaim deed and easement?
Yes, I'll motion that we move forward with the acquisition through quitclaim deed and the easement for water and sewer infrastructure.
Second.
Mr. Wise, and a second by Mr. Gambrell. Any discussion? All right, District 2,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 6,
Yes.
District 7,
Yes.
District 8,
Yes.
and I vote yes, it has passed. Quitclaim has been accepted. There's no actions for item C. Are there potential actions for possible action relating to the water alternative options?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we direct the town manager and town attorney to do all things necessary to move forward with purchasing water and/or water capacity from Joint Municipal Water and Sewer Commission, and to contract with the town of Rich Spring to supply water to them. Further, they included in this motion, I would like to state that Hayes and Sawyer, the engineer or engineering firm, shall remain the engineer for the duration of this project.
I have a motion by Mr. Prowse. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gambrell. Any discussion? District 2,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 6,
Yes.
District 7,
Yes.
District 8,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Motion passes. Moving on to potential agenda items for next month's meeting. Do I have anything at this time? If nothing, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Gambrell, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Prowse. Any discussion? District 2,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 6,
Yes.
District 7,
Yes.
District 8,
Yes.
and I vote yes. We are adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.